Madam Ruth. Good
Okay.
evening.
I apologize for running late. I got an impromptu meeting again. Just jumped out.
Okay, fantastic. So we're just going to, get started now. So yeah,
Okay.
all good.
All right.
So good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're joining us right at this moment. We welcome you once again onto the fourth workshop series of the Teach4SDGs. And of course, we are sure that you've had a great day until now. Special recognition to those of you that joined quite earlier. I see it was Bala Ibrahim that was the first person on this call. And of course, Flora Pius has been waiting expectantly, while Joyce Josie has been looking forward to this section. Uh, Judith and Bola, they have been waiting patiently also. And Bumi Aluko is saying hello to everyone on this call. Okay, Jabu Zubuko is glad to be here once again. And okay, we have David from Namibia saying hi to everyone. Yes, 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 yes. Donald is saying he couldn't wait for the start of the final workshop. Yay, 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 yay. It's the final workshop. Yeah, I know the excitement, right? Of course, of course. Yes. Olajumoke is also saying she's really expectant of today's section. Fantastic, 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 fantastic. And of course, I trust that your expectations will surely be met, if not surpassed. So, sustainable greetings to you all in your respective location. And on behalf of the Teach for SDGs program team members and AIIDEV Africa as a whole, you're all welcome to today's workshop. And without a doubt, we believe that the last week's section was a great and insightful one. And of course, we are here again to learn. Who is ready to learn? Let me see your reactions. Keep the chat bustling. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I want to see that going on in the chat. Of course, let's get started. Let's know who's ready for today. All right. Okay. But before we proceed into today's topic, of course, we're going to love to have a reminder or feedback of the last section that we had. Definitely, we want to be sure that there's been a lesson or the other to learn at each and every of our section. So we want to hear from you. I want to see you type in the chat your take homes from the last section, the things you've learned, okay, and all of that. Please keep it in the chat. I'm sure you want to impress Madam Ruth that you are wonderful, educators, and just like your students in class, you want to be that outstanding student, right? You want to be that A1, that distinction, that excellent student that is always on the top of his or her game in class. So I really want to see it now. What were your take homes from the last lesson? And yes, 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 I think I'm seeing all of that now. Yes, yes, yes. Um, okay. Okay. Ah, okay. So I'm waiting for your take homes. Oh, great. Okay. I see so many messages are still popping in the chat. People are ready, 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 ready. Okay. All right. Bashiru Sali said he learned the difference between circular economy and green economy in the last week's section. All right, that's a great one, Bashiru. Of course, they are two distinct topics. It's good that you're able to learn about them. Yes, who learned something again? Is there another person that learned something? Let's know who else learned something. If we don't have people that have, okay, Rebecca Sunday is saying green economy, what she learned was that green economy begins with the government. Rules, incentives should be put in place to encourage green economy. Oh, great, great. Ah, yes, Olayinka Tail said she learned about green building. Fantastic. Uh, okay, someone said they learned about sustainable construction industry. Another person, difference between circular and green economy. Another person learned that circular economy is simply waste management. Okay. White similarly is making a commitment that is most definitely going to take into consideration the smart windows that change from transparent to translucent depending on the sun and light in the environment. Okay. It's obvious that there has been a lot of things to learn, right? And of course, we are glad that we are the mastermind of your learning and we are leading the course in helping you achieve your sustainable growth, especially as educators within the African continent. And just like every other time, again today on the score, uh, we have another seasoned expert, of course. But Belle, before we go into that, I should still, make sure to appreciate those of you that have done well to submit your take homes from the last lesson. You are the ones that keep us going because if you're not giving this kind of feedbacks, we would not know whether or not to continue with the project. And I think that with these comments that I've read here this evening, it is enough testimony that this program is making a lot of impact on the participants. And yeah, right now we would like to invite our guest speaker for today, who is already on the call with us. And just a few minutes before we hand over to her, I would like to read out our professional bio. But let me just give you like I don't know what I should call it, a tip for you. This person that is here with us this evening is someone that you're going to really enjoy. She's this person that is full of energy. She's just fantastic. Every time that I've had to do something or one thing or the other with her, it has always been so awesome. It has always been wonderful. And I'm sure that she's bringing the same energy into this session this evening. And then, who is this person? We have with us this evening the Executive Director of the Sustainable Green Environment Initiative, Madam Ruth Olowoshile, who is also the co-founder and the Executive Director of SGI, a non-profit organization dedicated to building an international community of young people, professionals, and entrepreneurs empowered to think, act, and sustain green. Ruth leads the management team and stakeholders to launch, sustain, and scale initiatives, programs, and projects aimed at addressing environmental challenges and fostering sustainability. Additionally, Ruth serves as a portal curator with the Museum for the United Nations, the UN Life, where she facilitates conversations around social issues through the Global We initiative. The Global We explores empathy, connectedness, and cultural influence in driving urgent climate action, supported by shared studios. The IKEA Foundation, MIT's Cortical, and local partners like SGI in Nigeria. Ruth's work highlights the importance of creativity and innovation in advancing climate action, leading to positive social impact and economic development. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sure that you want to welcome Madam Ruth to this session this evening with your claps as much as they are virtual, as much as they are emojis. I'm sure that you want to give a deserving welcome this evening. So, Madam Ruth, how is it at your hand this evening?
My end is what?
I'm asking how it is at your hand this evening. How is the day going?
Oh, oh, oh. Well, the weather is quite cool today because it rained virtually all day. So, I mean, it's really cool, at least considering the hotness of the past couple of weeks. And thank you for that introduction. I almost couldn't recognize that you were talking about me.
Of course, the good ones. That's how they do. Very almost set of people. All right, so Madam Ruth, you're welcome this evening, and you have about the next 45 minutes for your presentation. And yeah, I'll be on this end to attend to any other needs that you may have. So I hand over to you
Yeah.
now.
Thank you, Maiwa. Thank you so much. And good evening, everybody. How are you doing today? Let's check in. Let me go check the comments. Let's check in. How are you feeling today? How is the weather at your end? What's running through your mind right now? What are your expectations for this session? How have you been generally? Take me as your impromptu therapist.
And of course, I feel like we need it, right?
How are you feeling? What's going on with you? Like we just had a conversation with high school students from Shaminada High School. So that's at the UN Life Portal. And
Okay.
we taught them some pidgin English. So we taught them to say how far. How are you doing? You doing all right?
Oh, it's obvious as though we have professors on this section. I can see they are already replying to you very well, madam. I've been great.
Mm.
It's been, oh, we are fine. Okay, we are all fine. All right. Someone is saying the weather is cold, but everything is fine. That's the main area,
Mm, that's
sure.
good. That's good.
Fantastic,
That's good.
fantastic.
Alrighty. So today you already know that we are talking about well, I know that the topic they gave me was slightly different, but permit me if I structure it in a slightly different way. But just give me a minute to turn on my audio so I can connect. And oh, by the way, please forgive my audio. Like I said, I'm at the portal or my video. I'm at the portal and I still have one more connection, so I'm still here. But so I just basically wanted to say that it's a pleasure to be here. And I just want to say that what you're doing as educators is really amazing. You cannot like underestimate the role of your job, of what you do. Either it's your job or it's your passion, or either you walked into it consciously, or like we used to say when they give you another course in university, they gave me whichever one, whichever
Yeah.
one that you are. I just want to let you know, you should know that you are doing something amazing. You are shaping lives. You are building the course of history. So that is why this is very important. It's very important for you to like, know this, be here, focus on this, just be present. I know they told me that I have 40 for 5 minutes, but don't worry, I'm not even going to use up to that. So I know I ought to have shared this, but I want to try and see if I can share it within the chat. I don't know how we'll get it across to everybody, so I'll just share this PDF with you so that you can share it with them because you don't have to print it out, but you might follow on with it while I'm speaking because that's what I'll be using. So I'm going to try and send that now, maybe via email or something.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
send.
Will you be able to share your screen or not?
Yes, I'll be able to share my screen. Although maybe you should try sharing it because I mean, maybe to make it easier too. Can you share screen from your end?
Yeah, like drop the document. Let's see. Let's see how it
Okay.
goes. Let's see.
All right, just give me a moment. Somebody said the weather
Okay.
is extremely hot here.
Yeah, I saw someone drop that fire emoji on top of the weather. I'm
How
wondering
are
where
you?
that is right now.
Sorry about the weather. It's not our fault. So, Maiwa, where is the best place to share this with you?
Oh, I think the email will do. And if it is
Okay.
live on chat here on Zoom, yeah, it works too.
Okay. Mm, let me try to send it on chat then.
Okay.
So, guys, I apologize for the delay. I've just had a very, very, very busy day, so I didn't have time to do this before the session.
All right.
Let me know when it has dropped.
Okay.
Okay, I think it's still sending. Yeah,
Okay. I think it dropped now.
okay.
All right. Let's get it up. Mm, mm, mm.
So, everyone, you still get this. I don't know if it's immediately, but you can still follow through now. You get it after. But what we'll be talking about now is basically how to design activities to teach your students or your pupils about climate change and the SDGs, sustainability.
Give me a minute. I'm right working on it.
Okay.
But you can just you can go on with the introduction or something, and I'll get myself up.
Yeah. All
Mm,
right. Okay. So like I said, I know that the topic that I was given was slightly different, but let's just say that we are going to the action part directly because I mean, what are we talking about if we are not talking about how to take actual action? And so at SG Initiative, we made this workbook for educators, and it basically takes you through designing activities for climate action. Um, the SDGs, I'm sure everybody's aware of the number of SDGs that we have and the relationship. Yes, thank you.
yeah.
So
Is it on
yes,
screen?
uh, you can, I guess you can fit to page.
Okay. Does it work?
Mm, let's see if I can send it in presentation to you. But
Okay.
you can leave this one for now.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, like I was saying, everybody, um, designing activities for climate action does not just mean for climate action alone. So what SDG is climate action or climate change? What SDG is that? What number of SDG? I'm sure that we're all aware of the SDGs. So what number of SDG is that? Let me see comments. I'm not sure if I can see any comments yet.
Mm, I
Oh,
think
okay, okay. Sorry. It's just loading. Sorry. It's just loading. 17, 17.
yeah.
Okay. Somebody said 13, 17, but you need to confirm is it 17 or 13. Pick one. But anyways, all of these SDGs are closely related. So when you say climate action is closely related, or you can't talk about climate action without talking about life on land or life on water, or life in water rather, or even poverty. Even on that, climate action is that cool babe that has many that has many boosts. So there are a lot of attached SDGs to climate action, right? So if we are talking about climate action, we're also talking about a lot of all these SDGs that are related. Yes, 17, thank you. We have 17 SDGs and all of these SDGs are related. So if you want to design activities now that will teach your students, your pupils, either in the school or in an informal setting, about climate action or about climate change and how it affects them, how it affects their community, then we're going to go through this process, right? So, Maiwa, I'm sorry, I know I'm trying to look for how to share this with you, but I'm not saying it. So,
Okay, so it could be in presentation, right?
yes.
Okay.
I'm looking for how to see presentation, but I don't know, for some reason I'm not seeing it. So
Uh,
um okay, you know what? Maybe I should just send the public view link to you.
okay. Then let me stop sharing that.
And send it here. Um, just a minute. Oh, by the way, everyone, while we're doing that, so one thing I want you to first of all, answer me is that what is the age group of the students that you teach, the pupils that you teach? I want to have an idea of the age group. So what is the age group of the students that you teach? Give me a range. So in your class, if you are teaching like say primary six, then I should have a range of the age group for the age group rather. So what is the age group of the students that you teach? First of all, that's one. We'll take a few samples. Let me see. What is the age group? Oh, I'm not seeing any response yet, or maybe it's not including here.
Yeah, I see
Mm,
12 to
4 to
18,
16.
9 to
Yeah, yes,
13,
12 to 18.
4,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I think I've seen it now. 4 to 6 years. Wow, wow. 14 to 17, 14 to 19, 8 to 12. Wow. So we have a very large, age group.
Mm.
15 to 20, 14 plus to 19 plus. Wow. Okay, so you would agree with me that the method that you would use to talk to somebody that is, or a class of 14 to 19 years old is not the same method that you used to teach a class of even 12 to 15, not to talk of 4 to 6 years old or 4 to 8 years old, right? And
Yeah.
by the way, have you seen the link? I think I've dropped it.
Yeah, yeah. I think the link just dropped.
Okay. All right. So
Cool.
you have SS2 and SS3, 7 to 10, 12 to 17. So some of you teach really wide age groups. So any age group that is not within 2 years, well, let's say 2 years or 3 years difference, is really wide. That means you may need to handle them like differently. Somebody says they can't see me. Sorry, I turned off my video to present, but the presenting is not a presenting. When it comes and then you still do. Right. So, like
Okay.
I was saying, what you teach 4 to 6 years old is not the same thing as what you teach say 12 to 19 years old, right? Because if you are telling, for instance, you want to explain to 4 to 6 years old that okay, I want to teach you about climate change. What is climate change? Let's start from there. So if you teach 4 to 6 years old, will help what is climate change? How would you explain climate change to your class? If you teach 15 to 19, how would you explain climate change to your class? No bogus English, just relatable, relatable English that we can understand, phrases or just a couple of words. How would you explain climate change to your class? I'm looking for your responses. What is climate change? So I want to teach my students, what is climate change? Give me your answer. 6 to 9. Adenike Oluwale, what is climate change for your class? Evelyn Joseph, for primary 6, 9 to 12, what would you call climate change? I want to take samples so that I know how to change in weather, atmosphere. Okay. 9 to 15, Joyce Joseph, 15 to 18, environment, explain with a lot of diagrams. That's not good enough for me. What is climate change? So you want to tell me climate change, assume I have a 4-year-old, and if I tell her what is climate change, then and I tell her environment, you just like, you have not said anything yet. Do you mean
Can you
that
see my
environment is
screen yet?
climate change? Yes, yes, you can see it.
Okay, great.
You can see it. Thank you so much. Change in weather, relative change in weather, climate change. Okay, I like this Ngwa's response. Climate change is places getting hotter than they used to be. Hmm. Matthew and myself change in global temperature. Okay. A berry mercy. I would search for activities that will suit the age I'm teaching. Okay. But you want to explain to them what climate change is, first of all. Why do they even need to, I don't know, why do they even need to know or do those activities? Change of weather that may affect the environment. Similarly, I like this your method. I start by asking them if they know why it gets hot or cold outside. Okay, that's a good way. Okay, SS3 students change in the normal pattern of the climate.
Madam Ruth, it seems like you're muted.
Obviously. These responses. I like these responses. I like these responses. Okay, let's go to let's go to the next page.
Okay.
Yeah, so they are going to share this workbook with you, but we actually designed this to empower educators with practical strategies and activities that you can use to engage students in climate action. So this does not mean that this contains the activities that you will teach your students, but it teaches you how to design these activities so that it can suit their age, their method of learning, their environment, what's happening in their environment, because how you teach somebody that is in Nigeria may not be the same way that you teach somebody that is in Kenya, right? And so this will teach to inspire them to be agents of change. Let's go to the next page. Let's go to where the T is. Right. So what are the expectations that no, you can go to the previous one. What are the expectations that is required from you as an educator? Like I was saying earlier, I said you play a crucial role in shaping the minds of future generations. So we want to equip you with the tools and knowledge that you need to design effective. By understanding your students' learning and their interests, their abilities, then you can create an inclusive and engaging learning environment, right? That encourages them to participate and have a sense of responsibility towards our planet, because that's where it all starts from. They have to have empathy first. They have to understand, and then they have to have empathy for the environment. They have to take the environment as their friend, or the other animals. I know animals are animals and we're humans, but they have to learn to take animals as their friends. They have to learn why the bee is important to the pollination of flowers and things like that, right? Let's go to the next page. So if you want to teach them all these things, what is the first thing that you want to do? You have some engagement techniques that you use to engage your students, I'm sure. And some of these ones that I've listed here, okay, I've listed some. You can decide to mention some of these or not, but let's take another sample. What methods do you use to engage your students? So you may want to take a notebook and write this down, although you will get this after. But what methods do you use to engage your students? I'll give you a few seconds to think about that, and then I'll go through your responses. What methods do you use to engage your students or your pupils in the school? I would really appreciate those that write something else outside of what I've put on this page. Okay, so let me read some of the responses. Teaching aids, songs and interactions, sometimes storytelling, play method, examples, discussion and demonstration. Okay. A documentary with tasks to be done as they watch, coloring. Wow, like you guys are so smart, obviously. So I've listed some of these methods already here. And we have some additional ones that I didn't list. Let me just run through it. Storytelling, demonstration, like I've said, discussion, play method, songs, poetry, rhymes, and even reward method, because you want to use reward to, make them respond to you, right? But there are also other methods that you can write down, because this is not here, that you can use especially to engage them when it has to do with climate change in particular, when you want to design these activities. You will now be talking about methods like, say, um, field trips. So I'm giving you expo already. You know how they give you expo in school. I'm giving you expo for designing your activities already. So you want to talk about things like field trips, and outdoor learning experiences. So not just field trips, but learning outside, or even inviting perhaps guest speakers and maybe experts on certain topics or professions to come and speak to them. Or you, of course, the actual activity also teaches them. So creating a project that they learn from also works fine. And of course, debates are very good as well, because to make them go and research and study, they want to develop an argument to or for or against, the topic that you have put down. But one more thing that you should take note of is that while you are designing these activities, you must make sure that there is a measure, especially for climate change, there's a measure of mindfulness and nature connection activities. So you don't just want to design activities for climate action and they are removed from nature. You want them to feel nature. You know how it feels when you are all by yourself in a very quiet place and you're looking at like the sun setting, or you're hearing the sounds of the bird calls and all that. This type of peace and tranquility that comes with it, and then you're able to connect with nature. You want them to feel that, so that they feel how important the environment is, right? So now that we have mentioned all that, you have to understand your students, right? So first of all, the first thing you want to write is the total number of students in your class. Let's start with your class before we even go too far. The total number of students in your class, you write them down, and then you want to classify them according to learning styles. We're out of time because I'm looking at the time, so I'm rushing through. But I know you
Mhm.
guys are smart and you catch up. There's a lot to talk about, but we cannot go through everything, at once. But you want to classify them according to their learning styles. I know that some people have more than one learning style, but you want to pick the one that is most common, yeah, to them, or that they can easily identify with, like the visual or auditory learners or kinesthetic learners. So provide counts and percentages for each group. So it will help you to know the activities that you design and to make sure that everybody is included in this activity and they understand the purpose behind it, right? And then you want to identify disabilities, because I spoke about this at the last I think it was the last class that we had with AIIDEV for this Teach4SDGs. And somebody asked about those with disabilities, and it actually made us go back to our drawing board and say, okay, how do we include those with disabilities? There are a large number of ways that you can include those with disabilities. We are currently working on a number of resources actually for those with disabilities, for kids with disabilities. So if you are teaching kids with disabilities, you want to note that it is very important. That's why when you are filling forms or application forms, any sort of application form, they will always ask if you have any disability at all. Of course, they might not ask if you have a learning disability, except it's a school that is like standard. Most of disabilities they're looking out for is physical disabilities, but you want to note if your students have even learning disabilities. So if you, for instance, teach kids that have ADHD or any other such learning disabilities, then you want to note that, because you know that you want to design activities that will engage or include them as well, right? Uh, Mara, let's go to the next one. To next one.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, yes. So now, after you have written out all of that, the next thing you want to do is to tailor your explanation of climate change now. I asked you what is climate change the other time. So you want to tailor your explanation of climate change to fit into your students' age group and location for them to understand better, for better relatability. So if you're in the north, for instance, then your definition of climate change might want to relate more to something that has to do with, say, agriculture or deforestation, or even reforestation, or maybe that like lake chart drying up, the condition of water, drought, all those things that they can see around them, they can see and feel. So it's not like something that's far-fetched. The moment you are saying it, they are nodding their heads because they can get it, right? So what you are basically trying to do is to build empathy. And that's what I called it, an empathy building exercise, or why it is called an empathy building exercise. So you want to, when you ask them what is climate change, after you have told them your definition of climate change, then the responses that they will give you will define how you will also respond to them. So if you are saying, let's see, climate change is the change in weather conditions. That's why once upon a time, weather was usually cold around this time of the year, but now it is unpredictable or it is hot, something like that, right? So, sorry, I think you have lost the screen. My network seems they're acting up, but let's continue, right? So you want to use this to now let them build empathy with the environment. Let them understand why the environment is important to them, important to their parents, important to the food that they eat or for the food that they eat, important to how they feel, either they are feeling hot or cold, maybe even important to the rise in emergence of malaria, for instance. So that is how to build a response that they'll be able to relate with. Empathy building. After that, then you will now go back to your drawing board. Like I said, this is going to be shared with you, so you'll be able to sit down and go through this again. I don't know. Let me see. Okay, it's back. It's back. Can you go to the next one? Yes, yes, yes. So now this is where the main work is. This is where the main work that you have to do is. And the first thing, like what I have said, is to brainstorm and outline various climate action and engagement methods. So you want to outline what methods do I want to use to engage with these students, what methods do they relate to? And then you want to sync these methods with their learning styles, with the learning styles of your students. You know that perhaps one method might be able to sync with 2 or more learning styles, right? Or even if it was not able to initially, by the time you say go for it, by the time you go for it, it may be able to sync, you may be able to edit it to sync with other learning styles. But if you don't think about it, then you may be excluding some other people. And it's very important that everybody's carried along. And then you want to provide the reasons and objectives behind the activity that you select. Why did you select this activity? Why is this activity important? Why should they, be a part of this activity? You want to mention those as well. After that, it is very important to structure the process. What process do you want to use to carry out this activity? How do you want to carry it out? Step 1, step 2. Take, for instance, okay, maybe I want to teach my students that are age 4 to 6. I want to teach them how to plant beans. And we'll all be observing the beans, how it's growing from week to week. So that I'll be using that to teach them about climate change, about nature, about the environment, right? So that means maybe you need the school to provide some things. Maybe you need their parents to provide some things as well. And so you need to get permission, which is what we have here. So, but first of all, let's take a pause. Let's take a pause. You remember that I mentioned mindfulness. Be mindful of your approach. Your role as an educator is very important. So what you say is what the students put in their head. In fact, even when they get home, especially for the younger ones, and their parents say, no, it is not like that, it is like this, they can start, arguing with their parents and say, no, that's not what my teacher said. So you should be mindful of your approach. And of course, you should be mindful of what you tell them because they are ambassadors to their parents and their community. Also be mindful to create content that relates to their age, that relates to their environment. Then make sure to create a safe and supportive learning environment because some of these activities may trigger some people to start arguing or some people to say no. When they come back tomorrow, they say, no, my mommy said this is this, or my daddy said this. Then you must learn how to listen to them and include where those comments and include it if need be, if it is actually right. Another important thing to note is that documentation is very important. So I know that you're supposed to carry out an activity after this, and you should remember that your documentation, not just documentation, not that because they said I should take documentation. So my videos and my pictures, I'll take them. I'll sure take them. It has to be quality. You may not know the importance of it now, but it will eventually show. The importance of it will eventually show to you later on, right? So make sure you take quality pictures and videos, records like the number of students, what time did you do social activity, at what time did you do that activity, and all that. You have to have your records, and you have to obtain necessary approvals as well. Obtain approvals from the school. Don't do things in isolation, so that maybe they even want to include other teachers and other students. So obtain approvals from the school, obtain approvals for parents and guardians as well, so that they can carry on with what you are teaching them. They can also keep impacting that knowledge at home, because there will be other ways they can teach them at home as well. If you want to take it a step further, then we'll talk about monitoring and evaluation methods. This simply means that you create some standard methods, maybe like having a questionnaire that you'll use to review, okay, how was my students' mentality on this subject topic before we started the activities. And then after the activities, you take another, round of questionnaires round, and then you get feedback on how is their mentality now, what have they learned. It basically helps you to evaluate the impact of what you have taught them or the actions that they have taken. And of course, you should consider how can this be sustainable. So even if what you did at first was, emergency approach, something like that, and even without emergency approach, you might have overlooked some things, right? So you want to now look at how can I, sustain this activity? How can I repeat it for upcoming classes? Or how can the school be able to replicate this in all the classes? How can we make this bigger to include other people, to include other schools? There is no activity, there is no project that is too small to consider. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Resource utilization, and this is very important. I wish I could provide more resources for you right now, but that's one of the things that we're currently working on at SDG Initiative, especially to create resources that will include all categories of learners, even those with disabilities. So whenever we have a library of resources available, I'm going to let you know one way or the other, you will know. But there are other resources out there as well. You just need to identify relevant resources that will, either be relevant to what you want to teach them on climate change, or the activity that you're teaching them, or maybe even you're trying to push your explanation to them that, oh, climate change is is caused by our activities, because we've been cutting down the trees here for firewood, for fuel, and we are not planting them back. That is why we're having this and that. Then you may want to back it up with resources such as documentaries, or even storybooks, or flashcards, or games, maybe VR if you have access to virtual reality resources, and movies as well. For instance, if you have the older classes, you can use movies like The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind on Netflix. It's a very good movie to teach climate change, amongst others. But it talks about a young boy, so they'll be able to relate to that. And of course, I would always advise that you incorporate digital tools as well, because we're in a tech world, we're in an advanced world, right? So there's this particular tool called Ecosia. It's on this document, so you'll see it when it's sent to you. ECOSIA. If you Google Ecosia, you see it. And it's basically used to, if you want to plant trees, for instance, you can get information on how to go about it. And they might even be able to assist you if it's a large-scale project. And of course, carbon footprint calculators are a dime a dozen. There are so much out there. So you can use this to also teach your students, take this, use it to calculate your carbon footprint for the week in your home or for the day. They will even take it home and tell their parents, oh, can you go to this website? We can calculate our carbon footprint, and all that. So we should stop this if this is contributing so much to the carbon emission, or we should not do this, we should do this instead. So those are very practicable things that you can do or you can incorporate into your activities. And of course, I've mentioned questionnaires as part of monitoring and evaluation methods, very simple, that you can use. I'm not saying questionnaire. It doesn't have to be like the large questionnaire that we used to use when you were in university. You want to do your project survey. It's not that type. You can just have a sheet of paper, where you ask them a question or two and they respond to it, so you're able to gauge their feedback. It can even be one-on-one questionnaire, like virtual oral questionnaire. Yeah, you ask them, they respond to you, you note the response, something like that. But there are other things like planners that can help in your activities as well. Planners, mind maps, infographics. Infographics basically means graphs, charts, and the likes. And you can also use pictures or storyboards to design activities as well. Okay, so I think I've been able to run through this fairly well. 550 time on time. So if you need more insights and support for this, I know that this is it seems like a large number of things at the same time. But if you want more insight and support, then you can reach out to the email on this. That is ygs@sdinitiative.org, and we'll respond to you with more resources, right? But for now, I think it may be time to take questions.
Okay, okay. That was I don't know whether I'm the only person that feels great with that presentation or it's the same for everybody. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Let me see how people are feeling with this presentation. I see a lot of actions in the chat already. What did I miss? Okay. Ah, I guess my chat is still refreshing. Mm, okay.
Okay, I'm muted. Yes, question and answer session. So you can ask questions from me. I think we have about 8 to 9 minutes left, so we can take questions. Do we have anybody that
Okay.
teaches those with
Okay.
learning disabilities or learning disabilities or physical disabilities?
Okay, Madam Ruth, I think I'm seeing these amazing comments in the chat already. Our audience are actually appreciating you. They are thanking you for that very insightful section. And yes, I agree also. That's really been a great section. So I guess those who would like to ask questions, they can go ahead now to ask their questions. Many are saying, well done, Ma. Don't not worry. The presentation is going to be shared with you. Worry less. We'll share the presentation with you. Oh, someone is saying what a memorable session. Fantastic. Fantastic. Someone says this session is great and straight to the point. Very impactful. Hmm. Great. Great. Oh, someone else is saying very wonderful presentation. So I guess Madam Ruth, I will agree with all the comments in the chat. You know, it is always like that. Madam Ruth, the great. The session is always filled with energy.
Hold on, hold on, before you continue. Hold on. I wanted to answer somebody's question. I saw Bashiru Kale asking, is there any difference between ozone layer depletion and climate change? Not particularly. I mean, see, this is basically a cause and effect thing. Climate change is the effect of what we are doing to deplete the ozone layer. Very simple. So it's not like ozone layer depletion means climate change, but climate change is what we get because of the depletion of the ozone layer, which is as a result of our activities.
Hmm.
The
Yeah, and
email, yeah, the email, okay.
they'll get it on the
YGS.
material, right?
So it's on the material, it's at the last page. YGS at sginitiative.org is on the material. You get it.
Yeah, I guess Abisola Richard is also asking that what is the site to calculate the biocarbon footprint?
There are plenty of sites. Let me see if I can find one or two to share right now. There are plenty of sites to calculate carbon footprint. You can basically calculate carbon footprint for individuals, for homes, for buildings. There are
Yeah.
plenty.
They always get
You
that
can
on the
even
web.
calculate carbon footprint for your school.
Uh, okay. All right. Someone else is asking, Olushe Itela. She said, is there a specific method to introduce any topic to pupils who are not exposed to technological benefits?
Well, the environment existed before technology. So I don't think that you
Mm.
need to bring in technology when you're explaining to them about anything. You just need to, like I said, you need to look around you and find what is the effect of climate change. What is climate change? How are we feeling it? And then explain that to them. Don't take it too far yet. Just start from the basics. It doesn't have to be complex.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe we should just do just a question more and we just go on with it for this evening. I guess the other question I have there is I saw one question now. Okay, how can we design a questionnaire to our students and how can this be effective and sustainable? And that's the last question for today.
Okay, so a questionnaire can serve different purposes. You can either design a questionnaire because you want to have an idea of, oh, okay, what I've taught my students about climate change, how have they taken it, and what activities would make a difference to them. Or you could have designed the activities already, but before the start of the activities or before teaching them about the activity, when you design your activities, you already have behind at the back of your mind what the objectives are for the activities that you have designed. You know what you want to achieve basically. So maybe you want to first of all go to your students and ask them things like, say, what do you understand by climate change? After you have taught them, you just want to get their response, right? Because you want to compare their response before and after the activity. And then maybe things like, do you think climate change affects you? Just very simple things that would help you to gauge the impact of the activity on them. And then you can go more in depth if you've been able to. I'm just giving examples. You can still add more questions. And then after the activity, or maybe in between, even maybe you want to gauge how impactful is this activity that I'm doing. Then you want to take feedback. So wait, don't take it too far. Even if the activity is just a one-day event, say like a let's see, an advocacy and tree planting activity, just one day. You want to do it in one day. So at the start, you ask your students, okay, everybody, what do you think climate change means? When you hear climate change, what do you think it means? What is climate? And those type of things. That's how you are doing an oral questionnaire to understand their initial knowledge. How do you think it affects you? After you have clarified that, added to what they've said, then you say, how do you think it affects you? Because you want to get their initial knowledge. And then in between, maybe before you go for the actual tree planting, then you get their feedback again. It will be good, like I said, document this type of things, either in text or in video. You need to document it so that you can refer back to it. It will also help you to develop materials for other classes. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I see that there are
All
a lot of other
right.
questions, but we
Yeah,
can't take
yeah, yeah. But
everything. We can't take everything. So, you
yeah,
guys reach out to me on LinkedIn. I just reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I will try within the next 1 week to answer as many people as I can. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll respond to you,
I
or you can
trust
email
I
me
trust
also.
that. Yes, 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 Madam Ruth. Truth be told, we have all gained value from today's session. And like always, we have been impacted once again. So, we want to say very big thanks to you. We really want to appreciate you for your time, for always. Of course, every time that we call on you, you're always there to answer to us and answer to our need. So thank you very much, and we hold you dearly to our heart. We must let you know that. And of course, we are also appreciating you for the learning experience of today's section. And of course, we are sure that even our participants have been well equipped by the knowledge that you have shared with us. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I understand that you do have something else to attend to, but before you go, on behalf of the
Yeah.
entire leadership of AIIDEV Africa, we say a very big thanks to you. And as you go on, we wish you a very fulfilling evening and productivity in your other engagements. So thank you very much,
Thank
and give
you.
our regards to everyone at SG High.
Thank you so much.
All right. Yes. And until the next time that we'll meet, I say you still healthy and you still well, ma.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an amazing evening here, and I like to believe that we've had you know an amazing moment with Madam Ruth there. So, as you may know already, today is the last workshop for this phase of your program. And I would like to call on Mr. Femi now to briefly, tell you on the next line of activities as this program progresses. So, Mr. Femi, you want to speak to us on the next line of actions? You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maiwa, and then to all the participants. Well done. Thank you for staying through up to now. It's been a wonderful journey so far. We sincerely appreciate your patience, your consistency, and your passion to learning. So I wish we are that close so that I can actually ask someone right now that what is the next thing? Yes, I think when we started today's program, someone said, "Welcome to the last phase. I mean, the last uh, series, the workshop series." So after the workshop series, are we going home? No. So we are moving on to another phase, of course, and we know that this is the time that we'll be moving to phase two of this project. But then before we move to phase two, it's important for us to know that we'll be having an assessment. Yes. So you have been learning for the past about 4 weeks or so. So it's time to really assess, just like you do assess your students. So as far as this program is concerned, you are a student, and we like to do a little assessment. So let's get prepared for that tomorrow by 6 p.m. GMT plus one. Try as much as possible to take note of that in respect to your time zone. So if it will require you to set a lot of alarm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 alarms, make sure you set that alarm. The assessment is very important because that is part of what will make you progress to the next phase of this project. So please ensure you save the time tomorrow, 6 p.m. GMT plus one. So if you are in Uganda, check your time zone. That should be around 8 p.m. Kenya should be around 8 p.m. according to your time zone. So ensure you take note of that and then participate well in the assessment. So necessary information will be sent to your mail. Do well to check your mail for other information. According to your program guide, the one you have with you, ideally you should have the assessments today. But just the program team decide to have a little consideration on that by making it to be tomorrow. So other information will be passed across to you via your mail, and get prepared for your assessment. Thank you. Over to you, Mr.
Yes,
Mayo.
thank you very much, Mr. Fermi. And one other thing that I must say before we leave it this evening is that you do not forget your TEF form, your tracking and evaluation form. Of course, we've had a month-long workshop, and we have our own way of accessing your individual performances. It is not just the tomorrow's evaluation assessment that is going to be considered. There are still so many other factors that will be put together to validate your promotion to the next phase of this program. Of course, while we are, not an advocate of leaving anyone behind, we still want to make sure that you're truly committed to what you sign up for. So after this workshop, I want to enjoin you, like always, again, to go on your social media platforms. You make a post of your take homes, what you have learned on this session. You make a post about it on your social media. Tag it to us if you like. But the most important thing is make sure you fill your TEF form. And of course, I know it's been a long ride, a great ride. It's been very educative, empowering, impactful, mind blowing. I don't know what you feel like, but before we go off this evening, I just feel like I want you to rate your experience on this workshop with just one word. With just one word. I wouldn't know what it would be. Maybe some will say mind blowing, some will say amazing, some I don't know what it is, but in just one word, you know, state your experience with this workshop, and I want to read it in comments now. What is your experience? What has your experience been like all through this workshop? Oh, awesome. Invigorating, interesting, superb, mind blowing, impactful, expository. Okay, okay. So it means that enlightening, impactful, excellent, awesome, amazing, great, impressive, fantastic, fantastic, and fantastic. So it means that we've made quite a great impact on each and every one of you. Of course, we are happy to be holding your hands in this journey. And of course, in the next phase, you would get to that aspect of, when you get to execute the diverse projects and some other things that would allow you graduate successfully from this program. Of course, this is that point where we want to call it a day for today. I would like to say that it has been a knowledgeable day so far. And I want to encourage all of you to hold dearly to all that you have learned into this section. Thank you for joining this call. And do not forget to carry out that your task for today and fill out your tracking and evaluation form within 12 hours to now. See you again, maybe some other time or in your inboxes via our email, or maybe tomorrow at your evaluation. And of course, on behalf of AIIDEV Africa, we say bye for now, and we say you enjoy your weekend. So bye everybody. Bye for now.